All right, welcome to the T Row Show. It's your host Keith. We got this is T Row second half, the T Row Show second half number 4, and we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that used to happen in my day. And you're going to find out that a lot of people are falling for some things that could hurt them in the future because they're not going to be prepared. They're going to be prepared for one thing, but not prepared for the real thing. Okay. First, we've got I wanted to mention Stuart Best, which I read his book, the Dark Light series, and found his book to be true in real life. There are people that call him a mystic. He is not in any way, shape, or form a mystic. And I don't believe the people that are accusing him to be a mystic even know what a mystic is. A mystic is someone who um, involves themselves in the New World Order, into the mysticism of the New Age, comes out in the forms of New Age and many other things, the New Age movement, and believe that we should all, that our Father in heaven wants to be in all religions, okay? Which is none of what I read. I have never seen that read anywhere. But if you read Dark Light, and I think he has other books that he's written, most of them are about the same kind of, it goes the same tone as Dark Light has. He is not in any way, shape, or form promoting the New Age. Most people that do accuse him or don't like him or something like that, they don't want to go down the narrow way. They take it out on me too if I start promoting it and moving it, talking about my experiences and things like that. They just don't want to go down the narrow way. That's simple as that. And they don't want to face themselves. They don't want to face their own hearts. They don't want to face things. So Keith becomes an enemy. Stuart becomes an enemy. All these other people. Jesus is not like that. Blah blah blah. The churches were not talking about him as a mystic. They said that joining Jesus is not a private club. Well, that's not really what the truth is. That's all mixed up. That's another show. I just wanted to bring that out in the beginning. That Stuart Best, which we sometimes read his book, sometimes we read the Bible, many different verses, things like that, and we talk about a lot about the narrow way and that kind of thing. And sometimes they're interesting, sometimes not. Just the conversations go the way they go. But when people start bashing someone like that, that's not good. That's just you're just making yourself look foolish. So away you go with that. Now, what I wanted to talk to people about was Bill Cooper, Bill William Cooper. I think his full name, Bill William, and I think his first name was Marlon Cooper. He, as far as I remember, okay, this was a long time ago. He was a lieutenant colonel or a colonel in the Navy intelligence, and things were coming across his desk. His whole family had been in the military. Things were coming across his desk that disturbed him, greatly disturbed him, and he read, that Kennedy was an inside job. He read that it was the CIA that killed him, and that George Bush Sr. was the head of the CIA at the time. He read all those things. He said he swore that the driver himself turned around and shot him. Was one of the shots that of the three that went into him. That's right, Milton William Cooper. Now he had a radio show and he had all kinds of things. He was at the time in the 80s and 90s, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, he was the authority of the truth movement at that time. Everybody had heard of him. I used to watch his shows, and I watched his films. He used to have pictures of objects, buildings that were on the moon. That fascinated me at the time, and when I was in the 90s. I heard about him, I think, like 92 or 93. And he was very helpful in getting the truth out. There's not much that he talked about back then that is not talked about now. Now, here's your issue. You got an Alex Jones here, okay? And Alex Jones is who they call a shock jock. That's all the man is. And he really did a number on the truth movement. In other words, he diminished it. He turned it into a joke. All these stupid characters he has on his show that he does all these screams and all this other kind of stuff. That's bad journalism. That's bad reporting. It makes it, because there a lot of people had died, okay, for getting this information out. The weird part is Alex Jones hasn't. I don't even think they've ever attempted his life. And whenever he believes that he's, the FBI is coming after him, all of a sudden he's protected. All of a sudden nothing happens. His right hand man over there went to jail for 2 months, but not Alex Jones. Makes you wonder. Extremely popular, but yet can't get him off the air. Everybody censored him and took him off here, and here, which just made him more powerful or more popular. That kind of lets you know something. There's something weird about that. But I want to play a video. There's a couple of videos I'm going to play here. Mr. Cooper, without idolizing the man. Okay, I don't want to idolize him because I'm sure he wouldn't like that either. He was a devout follower of Jesus the Christ. Devout follower of him. At least that's what he professed in his books. I read Behold a Pale Horse. And he had other things that he promoted. Had a very good radio program. And Alex Jones did his best to diminish the reputation of Bill Cooper. I called him Bill Cooper. As a matter of fact, he did that. A couple months later, the man was killed. And I honestly believe they were going to replace Bill Cooper with Alex Jones. Not that Bill Cooper was in on it. Because apparently when he was shot by a sheriff, he was out on a porch with a gun. I think the sheriff just shot him. That's all the details I have, other than people were trying to steal something from his house. It was burglars or something like that. I'll go find it. It's no problem. But he was shot, and this was around 2001, a couple months after the September 11th. That is November, December. That's a little shady there, because but the man was being replaced by Alex Jones, and Alex Jones started lying about it. 7 years later, he was lying that he was a drunk, that Bill Cooper was a drunk. He was cussing on his show. Bill Cooper was cussing on Alex's show. And when Bill Cooper went on his show, he didn't really know who the guy was. He didn't know who Alex Jones was. But folks, you don't get into Bohemian Grove without an inside deal. You don't get in there. That's like trying to sneak on Area 51. You do not get into Bohemian Grove and sneak in there without anybody knowing and get a film of them doing their rituals. That just doesn't happen. Okay, if you ever want to know what Bohemian Grove is, go look it up. And apparently that was Alex Jones sneaking onto the property and getting in. At the time, everybody knew who he was. So there was no getting that done. So I'm just saying, folks, you might want to watch if you're idling the guy. In other words, if you're making him into an idol. I'm going to show you some videos that will be a little bit of an eye opener for you. Let me get this going. Here it is. Okay. Let's get into opening this thing and let me share here. Okay, I just want to listen. I want you to listen to this, guys. About 4 or 5 minutes. And there we go. All right.
Very well. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I remember the Council on Foreign Relations. Is that a conspiracy?
Well, you've certainly. Well,
let me just tell you what Newsweek says this. The John Birch Society considers communism only one arm of a national.
Okay, it is part of the John Birch Society, Larry McDonald, and he's a congressman. Right here. That's him right there.
Of a master conspiracy in which socialist American insiders are plotting to establish world government. Now, he also says, and here's Director John McManus, that's your public relations director, saying that former Secretary of State Alexander Haig and CIA Director William Casey are two of these master conspirators who are plotting to establish world government. Now, what do you that kind of silly, asinine statement is what makes people laugh at the John Birch Society.
Well, Tom, I'm sure being a long-standing member of the Rockefeller apparatus and as a member of the Council on Foreign Relations of long-standing, you're fully aware that there is an elitist core in this country that has seen value in subsidizing communism, of protecting communism.
It has?
Sure.
You're accusing me of subsidizing communism?
No, I'm saying
because I happen to belong to a
there is an elite core.
Study group?
No, wait a minute. There is an elite core in this country that has dominated American society.
Well, I'm not one of them.
Let me
Trilateral Commission.
the Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations.
State Department, I suppose?
Well, let's face it, they've dominated the State Department for 40 years, and pretty much openly
All right,
so.
but what are they trying to do?
Well, their objective is to try to bring about a gradual transition in our society, a dissolving of sovereignty, and a moving steadily to the left on the political spectrum.
Well, who are
the
they?
Belief, the elitist groups that I mentioned, particularly key individuals and policymakers in the Council
Is
on
the
Foreign
International
Relations.
Monetary Fund part of this?
Well, I would say the International Monetary Fund has certainly been set up for the purpose of facilitating that transfer of sovereignty and transfer of wealth on the road.
All right, we
to
elected
something.
Mr. Conservative.
Let me just finish the point,
right,
because otherwise we're going to have a lot of unanswered questions. That you are looking at a group that has worked to bring about a dissolution of national sovereignties on the road to world government. And certainly you're familiar with local professor Carroll Quigley, who has been part of your club, in which he admitted all this. And he said in his book, Tragedy and Hope, the only thing I disagree is that we've worked to keep it a secret. And you see Arthur Schlesinger Jr. writing way back in 1947, says, yes, this is the hidden policy of America. But we can't tell the American public because they're too unsophisticated to see the value.
What is the
Right.
instrumentality of world
Such
government?
statement
What
in
is the
life.
instrumentality
Of all the
through
things
which...
to say about Arthur Schlesinger, that's the silliest statement I ever heard. He never made anything like that.
Well, let me suggest that you read the May-June issue of the Partisan Review of 1947, Tom, and you can read it for yourself. It's called
Arthur
the Schlesinger
Schlesinger said there was a
Manifesto.
conspiracy,
Oh.
a conspiracy
Oh,
to
he didn't
promote
use
communism.
the word. Oh, no, he didn't use the word conspiracy.
I
He
think
said the
Tom-
objective
Oh,
is
what
to
kind of
bring about.
nonsense is
Well, let me finish. I'll tell you. He said that the objective, the secret policy, which we can't tell the American public because they're not sophisticated enough to see the value, is that through a steady result of erosion of New Deals, we bring the American society steadily to the left.
All right.
And through a sound concept of benign containment, we merge into the vital center of the socialist left. Those are his words, not mine.
You think John Kennedy was a member of that conspiracy?
No, let me ask you this. The World Federalist Movement in the post-war era contained a lot of people who eventually broke with it, and a lot of people thought the UN, in the post-war era, looked toward world government. Sure. Indeed, they did, up until 48, 49. But a lot of them said, look, we were utopian. That's over and done with. We can't move. And a lot of them came in Kennedy's government. Schlesinger was in there when they were fighting in Vietnam, launched the effort in Vietnam. Schlesinger was behind the Bay of Pigs. In other words, look, isn't there some move that occurred in the post-war era that now has been dissipated because nobody believes in the utopian ideal of world government anymore?
Well, I think there are those that realize that moving straight from a prototype of the United Nations into world government perhaps is tactically impossible. But phasing out increasingly national sovereignty into regional government and phasing out sovereignties into international treaties in multiple areas
The whole
could be a route.
the whole
Now, in my day, I remember when the weather, and they did this in the weather. So it's gonna sound a little messed up here, but it was around 94 to 95, the weather people started talking about regions, just like he was talking about there. They were setting everything up into regions. There were no such things. All we had was counties and states. That's all you needed. But they set up regions, and they started announcing it through the weatherman on television. Started saying it every day. I was like, when did they change that? Over this county or that county. Well, in this region over here, in that region, it just went right over, and they just brushed off like it was nothing. And it was a New World Order survey. It was a survey, it's overlay survey of what they did. All your original stuff is there under the original survey. But when they're working under, in other words, an NWO is working under the regional surveys. That involves yourself in Satanism and principalities. Okay. And folks, we do get a lot of, we'll get some complaints, not all. When we bring up Jesus, we bring up the Father. I don't care if it upsets you or not. I could care less whether you're upset over that. You're going to realize this is all about religion, no matter what. We will show it. We'll prove it next week, but it is all about religion. And you're going to have to make a choice soon. That's the way it's going to be. Okay? So if you get upset, go listen to another show. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for likes. I don't do this and it's just subscribings. Nothing. I do this because this is the truth. It's just the way it is. Okay? That's it. Anyway, here you go. I'll let you listen to the next this part. However, before I end this, because it's only about 40 seconds left. Does this man, Larry McDonald, sound a lot like Alex Jones? But it's been presented to everyone that Alex Jones is the first man that's ever brought this out and woke people up. All he's been doing is taking what a dead man said, Larry McDonald, because he died a couple weeks after this show was written, or this show was done, right here. That man was dead 2 weeks later in an airplane crash. But word for word, Alex Jones. Word for word. You would think if you close your eyes, you'd think you're listening to him.
movement toward, quote, interdependence.
Yeah.
NATO is part of the conspiracy?
Well, there are certainly elements in NATO. There are people in NATO who are very strongly dedicated to the defense of the West. But at the
Say one more thing. He was talking about interdependence. This was in 1983. 1976, they already did the Declaration of Interdependence. And these guys on here are acting like this guy on the left is of the Council on Foreign Relations that set up the Declaration. And they're just acting like there's no way that this could be all that. When, what was it, 76? 7 years later, he's talking about this. This is a congressman, guys, talking about this. And that both of these characters on each side are acting like he's just crazy, when both of them know about the Declaration.
At the same time, you find in NATO a steady dissolution. You find a growing weakness as a NATO policy dominated by State Department policies that has not worked.
Well, it's a regional grouping, and I think, therefore, it may be suspect by the John Birch Society.
We're talking with Congressman Larry McDonald, who has recently been elevated, I guess, to chairmanship of the John Birch Society, succeeding Robert Welch. We'll be back in a minute.
And there you go. Okay. So Alex Jones is not some hero that figured all this out. I was listening to him on Tucker the other day, and Tucker was, how do you guess all this stuff? Oh, I don't know, because he stole all of it from people that had done it. They've been talking about it since the 70s. Bill Cooper retired out of the Navy. He left. His whole family was military all the way back. He left because he realized that their conspirators had come in and took over. He didn't want to be a part of that anymore. He didn't want to. He said he took an oath to a republic form. Okay, he was one of those. He was whole military, bonsai America here. Okay, and he took it seriously. He also talked about basically everything that Alex Jones talked about and talks about today. Everything. None of this is new. So please don't be okay. This is what Bill Cooper talks about when it comes to Alex Jones. And just to let everyone know, Alex has not peed me off. I'm not upset about it. I just want people to know that the people that really brought this forward were people that took real risks. I'm talking about real risks and did pay the price. Not this fake stuff. Okay. All Alex did was take what all these guys have been saying and brought it forward to the present time. That's all the man did. And he's making millions off of it. They are making a lot of money. And what you've got is when I did the T-Row show, I knew what was going on, but also went into a lot of things that Alex would never get into. We tried to get a hold of Alex Jones. We sent him some stuff. Then guess what happened, folks? Every show we did on the T-Row show, he was stealing the material. And he just stole the T-Row, I think it was number 2 or number 1. He stole that information and put it on his show. He just does it in a different way. He takes the ideas and then flips it into something completely different. That's all the man does. So he's not this massive genius that he's telling everybody. Oh, Tucker was saying, how can you accurately do this or accurately do that? Well, what I do is foreign relations, he's got it all memorized. Okay. And then doesn't realize that Cooper talked about the Twin Towers a month before. Alex when I saw him take credit for the towers, I was like, okay, this guy, there's something wrong here. This was a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to him on Tucker. And when he started taking credit for that, I said, wait a minute. Bill Cooper was the one who did that. And then I can't remember it was Sarah or someone else. Sarah, did you find this fight between him and Cooper Jones?
Yeah, I did find it in that one part where he's like fake crying. But someone just sent a video of Alex Jones stating he's part of the real Illuminati, his family. Like I have the clip right here if you want me to play it. It's a little bit shocking, but I had no idea, so pretty interesting.
Okay,
clip.
you want to go? We'll do this, and we'll hold that one for the next. You want to do that? Yeah, I remember you
Sure.
have a delay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you have a delay. So just remember, folks, when Sarah's talking, she's delayed a little bit. So just let her know, or let everybody know why you're. It sounds like you're not delayed, or you are delayed. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, I got the share sound. All right, this is what. Okay, like I said, William Cooper woke me up a lot back in the day. He was the guy that we started out with, and we all recognized him as an authority on what he was talking about. The man, number one, is not a drunk. Alex Jones asked him to be on his show. So I'm just giving you background on this. And he went on his show. In other words, Cooper went on his show, Alex Jones' show, for a 45-minute show, and that was it. And then he just got an email. People were emailing him that Alex Jones was lying about it. And you're going to see that right here. Now, why is this specific? I think that why I'm bringing this up is I think Alex Jones, and I've seen him, or he's actually talked about it before. I think he could start some serious stuff if he wanted to, because he's a shock jock. He likes to incite things, make them worse than they are. And some of the people that want to shut him up are not necessarily wanting to shut him up for the truth. It's because he may or may not be telling. He's like a shock jock. He could get people killed. If he just normally reported it and didn't act like an idiot when he's going after people doing all that kind of stuff, that he might get some respect, but he makes everyone look foolish. Stupid. See, back in my day, it was respected. The truth movement was respected. And things that were being said was respected. It wasn't, oh, well, this is a conspiracy theory. Okay? And that's what Mr. Cooper here brought to the table. He's not my hero. Just to let you know, I'm not idolizing this man. Nobody is between myself and Jesus. That doesn't, that no way. All right, just letting you know. But I do want you to at least look through this with some eyes that are, hey, you got to be careful with the guy, okay, as to what you believe and what you don't believe. Did he incite people against those people over in the Sandy Hook? Yeah, he did. He did do that. Were people attacking those people? Yes, they were. Was it fake? I have no idea. But it didn't really, wasn't a big deal at the time to me. But he's decided to do that and then caused all that mess. And then decided that he was going to try to basically incite his way out of it. I'm not saying the parents were right. I'm not saying he was right. I'm not even getting into Sandy Hook. To go back and forth it just doesn't make any sense. I think everything is incited on the news, honestly. But, it is what it is. Take a look at what he has to say, Mr. Cooper.
Before we get started, I have to clear up a little discrepancy here. Apparently the other night, or within the last week, because I've been getting a lot of email about this, and I even received one telephone call. Apparently somebody called the Alex Jones broadcast and asked him why he didn't have me on the air, or asked him something about me. Alex Jones said he had me on the air once before, several years ago, and had to cut me off the air because of the foul language that I used. So on the air tonight, I'm going to tell you, Alex Jones, you are a bold-faced, miserable, stinking little coward liar. Now let me say that again so there's no mistake about it. You can all tell Alex Jones that I said this, and I suspect he's listening because he does. Alex Jones, you are a bold-faced, stinking, rotten little coward liar. I was only on the Alex Jones show one time. It was years ago, when I didn't know who he was, when I didn't realize what a liar and a coward and a sensationalist bullshit artist that he is. He was on one little FM station down in Texas. He wasn't on all the stuff that he's on now. And I agreed to be on his broadcast. That's when I was doing guest appearances on broadcasts, years ago. I was not cut off. I did not use any kind of foul language whatsoever. He treated me very well, and I stayed on for the whole show. Some of you in Texas know that that's true because you heard the broadcast and you taped it. Later, when I found out who Alex Jones was and what he was doing to the truth, and what a cowardly liar and sensationalist he really is, every time he called me after that, I have always refused to appear on his broadcast. Absolutely refused to lend him any credibility whatsoever by appearing on his broadcast. And that made him very angry. I've also revealed him for the lying sensationalist bullshit artist that he is by every once in a while bringing to your attention the lies and the deceit and the rumors that he spreads over the airwaves that are not good for any of us, and they're not good for the nation. They are especially not good for militia and patriots. The most disgusting broadcast he ever did was on New Year's Eve, the year 2000, the New Year's Eve, 1999, bringing in the year 2000, which he went completely out of his mind and claimed that Russia had launched intercontinental ballistic missiles with multiple warheads at the United States of America and actually panicked millions of people who were putting their children and their belongings in their cars and heading for the hills. Now, there's lots of things that can be said about me. Nobody needs to lie about me. Sometimes I am irritating. Sometimes I absolutely will not suffer fools and am just as rude as I can be. Nobody has to lie about me, Alex Jones. So I suggest that the next time somebody calls your broadcast and asks them about me, you tell the truth. There's lots of truth that you can tell about me. But don't ever lie on me, buddy, because I'll chop you off at your ankles. I will chew you up. I will spit you out for the lying, stinking, rotten little coward that you are. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have to say about Mr. Sensationalist, lying, rumor-mongering, bullshit artist, Alex Jones. Good evening. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Cooper.
Hi.
Listen, that Alex Jones interview was directly after you published the Veritas June 26, 1998 issue about the Cooper family being targeted by the feds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah,
And
back in 1990. So did he kick me off the air?
No, he's a liar, and you pointed it out, and I heard that interview, and you were nothing but cordial.
Yeah. Well, that's the truth.
That's the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia.
Bye-bye.
Alex Jones is a miserable, rotten, little, stinking, cowardly, bull-faced liar. Boy, you know, all of these people ought to know better than to mess with me, because I don't take any crap from anybody. And if I'm not afraid of the whole machinations of the entire government Gestapo, what in the hell makes Alex Jones think that I would ever be afraid of his cowardly little rotten butt? Good evening. You're on the air.
Yeah, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to let you know I verify what you said about that Alex Jones interview. They had it archived on the internet at one time, and I did hear that interview, and there was nothing wrong with what you did.
And I wasn't thrown off the air, was I?
Not a bit.
No. And that's the only interview I ever did with Alex Jones. As soon as I found out what he was doing and who he really was, he's called me back at least 100 times since then, and I've always told him to take a hike. So anyway, thank you.
You bet.
Pretty clear. By the way, those images on the video, this is not my video. So whatever they're putting on there, that's their own personal stuff. But I wanted you to listen to that. And if you were going to respect anyone in the truth movement, I'm telling you, it would be William Cooper. He's never lied to anybody, told the truth all the way. And Alex started coming back. Well, he's into that UFO stuff. He's into the No, he's not. He was not all into the UFO stuff. Oh, he was a drunk. He's dead 7 years ago. Why are you even calling me? Why are you even talking to me about this? As a guy called in and said, "Didn't you lie about that?" Like said that he was cussing on your show and he wasn't, or that he was cussing at your staff and he wasn't. And the man wasn't lying. Cooper didn't cuss on the main show. None of that was true. I'm not saying Cooper was perfect, but he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to be, we call it, talking about him as a dead man. Okay, he's dead. Died in 2001. It was pretty much a little bit after this show, which makes me think that maybe Jones had a little bit to do with his death. But you know, that's me. I think he had a little bit to do with it. There was something there. It was around that same time. It was around September 11th, 2001. Everybody knows what happened then. And then Cooper gets shot later that year. I think it was in November. Either September, October, November. Yeah, I think it was in November. But Alex just happened to be around that time. And he did call him everything you've heard it. So something wrong with that. Okay. Now you have something. Let me get off the share screen.
Yeah, there's the, let's see. Pull this up. Okay. Oops, I stopped. I did not share the sound. Gotta share the sound. Okay, yeah, so Alex Jones did a show right after Cooper's death or murder, and this person made a video on it and put together that it was kind of suspicious, you know, how he was reacting. So we'll play a little bit of it.
He came in and said, Alex said he was the first one to predict 9/11. This was after Cooper was dead. So he took on Cooper's all of his tapes, everything he did, to make himself look like he was Cooper. Go ahead. Just want to bring that up. Okay. All right, we'll stop that and we'll have it. Okay. No one knows who funded him, because it's hard to read real fast like that. No one knows who funded him to get his show going in the early 90s. For a young man in his early 20s, he was 24 years old. Getting funded like he did sure is lucky. He makes millions on advertising fear. Take Y2K as one of the countless examples. He claims to be the one who predicted 9/11. That wasn't true. 2 months before that, Cooper did. He featured regularly on many major news channels and shows in the mainstream media. This was back then, which he seems to be the only one who knows how to do. He's a proven liar time and again, distorting facts and making up false stories. Go ahead. To promote his message.
They come to kill. They are killing. I'm sorry. The New World Order's gotta be defeated. Oh, God. Please, God, please protect us from the New World Order. Please protect the children. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. No. Just Stephanie, play Renegades or something. I gotta get myself together. We'll come back in into the news. I'm sick of chronicling their evil.
That's really bad.
That is so. Oh, we gotta play something else in here because.
Yeah, here it is. So it's the Alex Jones show, September 11th, 2000, right after his death.
The beast. The beast is upon us, oh God. It's gonna get worse and worse. Oh. They love death, they come to kill. They are killing. I'm sorry. The New World Order's gotta be defeated, oh God. Please, God, please protect us from the New World Order. Please protect the children, oh God. Oh God. Oh God. No. Stephanie, play Renegades or something. I gotta get myself together. We'll come back into the news. I'm sick of chronicling their evil.
Oh my God, that was the biggest joke I've ever seen. All right, that tells you pretty much who he is. You're welcome. We'll put some of these videos down on the comments. What was? Oh, you have another one?
Yeah, this one's really interesting. Someone just sent this earlier today. Very short little segment here, but listen to this.
Out there today, and so undoubtedly, if you want to say it, I mean, I would say I come out of a classical Enlightenment family of what you would call real Illuminati, real Enlightenment. And I'll just say it here. Everybody asks me who I am, I'll tell you. There's no secret society. There's no secret messages. There's no secret handshakes. There's freedom. There's Jesus Christ. There's free market. There's family. There's strength. There's honor. There's...
Yeah,
Really?
crazy. Right?
So he's from Illuminati, then invokes Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and right before here, he talks about all these ancient mystery school teaching books that he's read.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun little fact.
So what I think happened, folks, is this. It's just what I think. You can take it or leave it. I think what happened is they had to get some control on Cooper. A couple of months later, after that 9/11, he did die. He got killed by a sheriff. And what I think happened is that I think they had to put Alex Jones in there, and then started making him that when he was doing all this, the yelling and screaming and all this kind of crap. It wasn't. It was to discredit the truth movement. It was to discredit everybody that was trying to find out the truth. It was there to discredit Cooper's audience. He had a big one. I mean, we used to order videos. This is back in the day. We would order videos, and they get sent in the mail. And we could grab them, or we would go to seminars, and there would always be somebody there selling copies of it. They'd sell them cheap too, like $5 or $10. They weren't trying to make a bunch of money on it. It's just getting the message out, and it funded the messaging. Back then, we used to do cassette tapes, and we get cassette tapes in the mail. That's how it used to work. Things were a little bit slower back then to getting the word out. So I don't know what's happening here with him and Trump. I do not know what's going on here with him and Tucker Carlson, other than I don't believe that they're going to be it. They're not going to be the ones to get this stopped, because I think they're both a part of it. I've seen Trump at World Economic Forum meetings. I don't think he is who he says he is. He does a few things. He throws a little perks in here and there, especially when it comes to money. He does like to throw money around. Best way to get people's allegiance is to start promoting money and power. There was a time back in the day when if you said that you were being contacted by the military, people would all listen to you, because you said if you were in contact with the military and you were sending messages from them over to the people, then you would be considered somebody that people would want to listen to. It was all a psyop. It was all this and that. It's all it was. We stopped falling for the psyops. especially when it came to the government of the United States of America. We were contacted by a so-called General 101. They wanted to set up another central bank to get it out of the hands of the Zionists and blah blah blah. And we ended up sitting and doing nothing, just waiting on this and that for like 6 months. Then that's when we understood the military psyop, where they just get you to stop moving, and hopefully you'll just quit. So what they do is say, we'll take it, we'll help you, we'll do this, we'll do that, and they just keep you delayed as long as they possibly can. That's so you're doing nothing. So it's like it would be like one general calling another general, having a conversation with him. His troops are moving in on him. The other general is believing what the man's saying, and his troops aren't moving. So that's how they operate. So when somebody says, "Oh, I was contacted by the military," oh yeah, right. You better keep moving. In other words, don't stop what you're doing. You can sit and talk to them all you want. I don't care. But they're just going to try to delay you. That's all they're going to do. That was their tactic. They were almost there with where they wanted to be with Obama. But all this stuff started coming out. And I honestly believe what happened is that the New World Order found that all the people they had picked are criminals, corrupted, have involved themselves in human rights violations, like the WHO guy. They put these criminals in very high places, and I think this whole movement was just to clear out their organization and not anybody else's. It's infested. The whole organization is infested with pedos. They're infested with all kinds of vile things that you cannot imagine. Okay, so the guy now, he's just a puppet, folks. All he's done is take all the work of the John Birch Society, which I've seen, and those John Birch Society were the first people when they started coming out calling them sovereign citizens. When I can't remember the name of that organization, it had some kind of validity. They would go around and scare people, scare cops and stuff. Those guys started calling the John Birch Society sovereign citizens. I remember that. And anybody that's being called sovereign citizens, they just put a label on your head so that you get shot next time you get pulled over. That's all it is, just to murder you, and use the police officers as political assassins. That's all it is. And that's when they came after me. I figured out who these people were, and away you go. But when you go on that, just man, seriously, take everything with a grain of salt. Watch what the man is saying. Watch what he's doing, and you may catch him doing things that he shouldn't be doing, or it's like, no, that don't sound right, man. And then saying, "Oh, the Q was a psyop. I had the guy at my house." I don't think he did. He started telling everybody, "I had the guy at my house that started it, Q." But he wouldn't tell anybody who he was. Okay, so basically, you're lying. You don't know who you are. Don't know who anybody is in the Q movement. You got to watch Alex when it comes to that. It makes him look like he's on the inside. Okay, but about 90% of the stuff that he talks about now was stolen from Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper talked about everything that everybody talks about today. Everything. From New Agers to UFOs to buildings on the moon, which he had pictures of because he was in the intelligence department of the Navy. He was an officer. And he had credibility. Everybody liked that back then. And no one ever caught Cooper in lies. They didn't catch him in anything like that because he didn't. He didn't lie. All right, so there is a channel. I just would there's a channel. It's called Bill Cooper on YouTube. I suggest everybody get over there, take a look at some of his videos, listen to what the man is saying about his country, and he would say it the way it is. He pissed people off because of that. That's how he spoke to people. He just said it the way it was. But he wasn't lying to them. He used to have meetings all over the country, little places, basements and places that were rented out and all that kind of thing. And security was pretty good. So, was that all I was going to cover tonight? Because next week we got mystics and fundamentalists.
Yeah, I think so. Just that we will put a few books in the comments and also in a chat.
That they can read that are his?
Yeah, there was Dark Light by Stuart Best.
Mm-hmm.
The Riding a Pale Horse, or
Okay.
Behold a Pale Horse by Bill Cooper, and then The Hidden Hand by Alex Christopher.
Right. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. And there was actually Alex Christopher was good. I'd met her. And she told me that people were stealing her stuff. The was it Pandora's Box #1? Who's that guy on Alex that comes on there? He's an English dude, white hair. Anybody remember him? Let me go ahead. Okay, it was David Icke, and Alex Christopher was yelling about it because he thought she was dead. Because she went by the name Alex Christopher to make it appear as if she was a man at the time. Because the information in Pandora's Box was so volatile to the railroad system and the Vatican that she was worried about her life. So she came out and called herself Alex Christopher. I cannot for the life of me remember her real name. But anyways, David Icke was doing that. Then this was the funny part. Here's the weird part on this. David Icke comes out and tells about and answers Alex Jones going back on Twitter with Elon Musk. Started calling it a conspiracy. This is a conspiracy. None of this is true. That's it, really. Because I know David Icke is a thief. I know that. Okay, he stole her information and brought it forward as if it was his. That was, that's par for the course here. But when he started calling Alex in there with Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson, he started calling that a conspiracy. I'm wondering what he actually meant by that. Because I'm beginning to look at some of this and see this also. Because some ghosts from the past are coming up. And I remember watching some of those videos with Alex Jones in them, and a man calling in and saying, "Didn't you lie about Bill Cooper 7 years ago on a video, on a show?" It's when he allowed call-ins. He stopped the call-ins because people were saying things like this. And he says, "Didn't you do that and lie about it?" Because he didn't. I saw that show, and I didn't see him cuss one time. You said you threw him off, and then Alex Jones cuts the man off and starts yelling at him. "I can't believe this is coming up after 7 years. Cooper was nothing more than a drunk. He was drunk all the time." And blah, 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 blah. Went off on him like that. And I was like, wait a minute. That man's dead. You don't sit there and call a dead man some drunk and lie about it like that. That's not good. I'm going to have to bring this on the T-Row show. So let y'all know what my motivation is here. Man's dead. Okay? And so you don't lie about the man. He's dead. He can't rebut you. That makes you look like a cowardly, sniveling little weasel, which is exactly what Cooper said about you. So I'm beginning to believe that. Don't follow Alex into any violence or war. Alex will put you first, and he'll hide in his little armored truck and will not share it with you. Okay? So I'm telling you, you can listen to his information, possibly sift some truth out of it here and there, but don't take the man seriously. He's not on your side. He is on Alex's side. And whatever his real name is, I can't remember what his real name is. But anyway, thanks for listening to the T Row Show. We'll see you next week talking about mystics. We'll show you what a mystic is. Okay, for those that think Stuart Best is a mystic, we'll show you what a real one is, and then we'll show you what fundamentalism is, and then you'll see your threat. The threat that basically everybody lives under that they don't realize is a threat. You're going to see it as, hey, all I was doing was praying. All I did was say Jesus. All I did was say our Father in heaven, Yahweh. All I did was say it was his son. And all I did was face the set apart spirit and was baptized in the set apart spirit. Well, folks, within the next 5 years, that's going to get you killed. You are considered an enemy. And we're going to give you all the details and show you all the videos that will prove what I'm saying here. All right. See you next week.